Good morning, everyone. Okay, so in last session, we have done with in unit number 7, transaction chapter, transaction state diagram, and implementation of atomicity and durability. Okay, we want some kind of revision so that all of you can aware with the concepts, and then we'll move further. Okay, so what is a transaction? It is a collection of operation that forms a single logical unit of work. Okay, this is the definition. Then we have seen this as a set of operation, and as we all know, in transaction we deal with only two kinds of function. The first one is read operation and the second one is write operation. Read means from the database we are just reading the values, and write means we are updating the values in the database. We have seen one transaction like this: read A, it will perform some arithmetic operation on A. Write A, read B, it will perform some arithmetic operation on B, and write B. This is the transaction for transferring account A's $50 to account B. Okay, these all things we have covered. So we are just giving a little bit of introduction so that you will recall those concepts. These all are called operations, and it will work as a single unit, and so we can call it as transaction. Okay. The most important question: what is acid property? Acid means atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. For this transaction chapter, we must focus on all of these properties. Atomicity means what? Atomicity means either it should be done 0% or it should be done 100%. So, either none or fully, the transaction needs to be executed. The next one is consistency. Consistency means your database must be in the consistent state. Means if I'm transferring $50 from account A to account B, then total of both the account before the transaction and after the transaction should be similar. It is called consistency. Next one is isolation. Isolation means if there are multiple transactions occurring simultaneously. That means transaction T1, transaction T2, T3, T4, all of this are parallelly executed, then each of them will not interfere in any other transaction. Like if you are withdrawing money from your ATM, with your ATM card, then it should not be affected any other's account. So it is called isolation. And durability. Once your transaction means if there are 15 operation within a transaction, then the all 15 transaction needs to be completed. So if your transaction completed successfully, then whatever changes you have made in that transaction instructions should be properly reflected into the database. It should be persist. It is called durability. Okay, so this all we have covered. I'm just going through slides so you can visualize what we have covered. What is a log file? Whenever we are completing the transactions, and meanwhile, suppose some kind of failure will be there. It can be a hardware failure or it can be a software failure. At that time, we need to undo all the operations, and we are saying that it will be rolling back. So we are rolling back the operations of the failed transaction. For that, this log file will be helping us. Transaction can be either successful and we can say it as committed, and if it is unsuccessful, then you can call it as aborted. Okay, if you have remember in the last session, we have started this transaction state diagram. Okay, I will just want to give a highlights. What is this? We are in the active mode or active state at the initial. Whenever we are performing our transaction, any of the instruction, first instruction, fifth or 15th, whenever we are in the state of execution of the instruction, we are in active state, which is the initial state of this diagram. Okay. Suppose meanwhile failure will be there, then we are going into this failed state. Okay. Or else the possibility is either all read and write operations are done successfully. At that time, we are in this partially committed state. Why? Because we are not directly reflecting our updates into the database. Instead of that, we are updating the data into the temporary file, or we can say that as a buffer. So first we are reflecting all the changes in the buffer, and once it is finalized, all the instructions are executed properly, then we are reflecting those temporary changes into the database so that we are in the partially committed phase. Okay, it may possible like all 15 instructions are executed and we are in partially committed form, and then a failure occurs. At that time, we are again in the failed state. Okay. In failed state, what we are doing? We are rolling back the operations and we are in the previous or the beginning stage from where we have started here. So it is called aborted. And if we are done with all the instructions properly, then we'll commit it. That means save those changes and reflect those changes in the database. It is called committed. In both of this committed state and aborted state, the database is consistent. Consistence means there is no any changes like account A's $50 is deducted and it is not reflected in account B. This kind of case will not be happen. If it is in committed state, that means if A's account $50 is deducted, then it will be reflected in B's account. And if we are in aborted state, then this transaction is not started. We are thinking like that. Okay. We have covered this in the last session. Okay. And after that, we have started with implementation of atomicity and durability. In acid property, we have four terms: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. We have covered first and fourth term, atomicity and durability. Okay, what does it mean? Database pointer first point out to the copy of the database. Like now my database is this, then it will pointing to the current database status. Suppose after one transaction is done, it will directly not reflected into the database, but it is have one buffer or one temporary file, and we are calling it as new copy of database. So once it will be committed or successful, we want to save this transaction, then database pointer will pointing out to this new temporary or buffer file and old copy will be deleted. And we are saying that This is the very inefficient method which is called shadow copy. Okay, so it will cover atomicity. Either your transaction should be fully done or it should not be done. Because if you have observed here, either it should be fully done, so that will point to this new copy, or it should not be done, so that we have in the same old copy. But if half of the transaction is done, it will not be useful. So we have implemented atomicity. And durability means what? If your transaction is done successfully, then all the changes in the transaction should be persist in the database. It is called durability. So we have covered this too. Okay. Now in today's lecture, we are going to start with the second one. Okay. We want to start with the second one, which is concurrent execution. And through this concurrent execution, we want to start consistency. Okay. Can anyone say, if I am writing a transaction like this, transaction 1, here I am reading A value. I will made some changes in A, like A plus 50. I will write value of A into the database. And then I am reading B value. B should be updated. And I am writing B value. Okay. If this is how I am writing my code, then is it possible that any kind of error will be there, or any kind of inconsistent state can be possible? Any one of you? Okay, no. Very good, Parth. Why no? This simply means that, like in ATM, if I am taking withdrawing money from ATM, and once I am withdrawing money from one ATM, no other ATM can be utilized. So there is no any possibility of conflict. Like once you are doing something with your bank account and no other person is allowed to do any bank transaction, at that time we can say there is no any conflict possible, because only one transaction is running. Yes, perfect. Shyam also said no. Very good. But if I am doing each and everything individually, like any one of the person from India is accessing ATM, then no any other person will access the ATM. If this is the scenario, then it may possible there are several disadvantages. Okay, so if we are doing concurrent, or we can say parallel transaction, then what can be the benefits? We are doing parallel transaction. When you are withdrawing money from ATM, many other from India will doing the same thing with their bank accounts. So why we are choosing concurrent execution, or we can say parallel transaction? What will be the advantage? Can anyone reply? What are the benefits? Whatever your observation, you can write here. Okay, we are taking one more example, so you can give some reply. Suppose you are going in any one of the hotel, like if you are going in Imperial Palace, and there can be 25 tables. So at a time it can allow 25 tables. Per table 4 person it may allow. But suppose if it is a serial execution, that means if one family is going inside, then rest of 24 family which can be possibly to go inside, but it is not allowed. They are waiting. Once one family is done with their dinner, they go out and second family will go in. So, what is the disadvantage of doing this serial execution, or what are the benefits of parallel execution? Can anyone reply? Okay, do you understand my question? Very good. Pooja said time consuming. This is the disadvantage. Okay. Anything else? Not efficient. Very good. Anything else? More than one transaction can take place at a time. Yes, perfect. In parallel, multiple transaction can be done simultaneously. Yes. But I'm asking that if multiple transactions are executed simultaneously, then what are the benefits? Because if we are doing more than one person doing this different transaction at the parallel time, then what are the beneficial? Time and table is not used properly. Okay. So if we are considering the scenario of restaurant, then table is not utilized. If only one family is go inside, so we can say it is a resource utilization. Okay. And all other families affected. Yes, perfect, Milan, in terms of waiting time. Okay. So that concurrent execution. A minute. Okay, usually system allows multiple transaction to run concurrently. Okay, whenever we are talking about concurrent execution, minimum how many transactions should be there? Ritvi said save time. Yes, perfect. Okay, whenever we are thinking for parallel transaction or concurrent transaction, so minimum how many transactions should be there? Okay, perfect. Two transaction or more than two. Okay. So remember one thing, whenever you are saying concurrent, in example also minimum two transaction, you need to show that. Okay. This concurrency causes several complications. If we are doing transaction in parallel, then it is the disadvantage for conflicting. Like one transaction is using the same resource, other person is using the same resource. Like suppose we have a joint account in bank, me and my brother. So I am accessing that account. I am withdrawing 1500 from that account, and my brother is withdrawing 5000 from that account. But account do not have that much money. So what will be done? This kind of complications can be raised if concurrency or parallel execution is allowed. But then also we are using this concurrency because there are two good reasons to allow the concurrency. The first one is improved throughput and resource utilization. And the second one is reduced waiting time. Okay. Reduced waiting time means what? Suppose uh, we are thinking that only one transaction is occurring, which is called serial execution, one by one transaction execution. So if we are doing it all parallel, that means your waiting time is reduced. Okay. And the next one is it will improve your resource utilization, because at the same time of from entire India only one ATM is utilized, then it will not be a proper resource utilization, because many of the time your ATM will be idle. It will not be possible to do in the practical scenario. So it will improve the resource utilization and improve throughput. Throughput means what? At a particular time slot, how many transactions are going on? It is called throughput. Okay. So first we'll see what is improved throughput and resource utilization. One transaction can be using the CPU while another is reading from or writing to the disk. Throughput means the number of transactions executed in a given amount of time. Suppose I am saying from 9 to 11, how many transactions will be going on? So if it is serial, the number of transaction will be less. But if we are talking about parallel execution, then in this 2 hour of slot, there may be multiple transaction can be occurred. So we can say throughput is also improved, and it may possible one transaction is using the CPU, like it will do some calculation, while other transaction is taking or putting the value into the disk, that means database. Like I am going into ATM and I am asking that how much money you want to withdraw. So whenever I am giving the reply, it is called input output. So some of the time CPU is working by themselves, or sometime we are taking matlab machine taking value from us, or whatever value we have entered, it will verify with the account status. So it will also take some time. Correspondingly, the processor and disk utilization also increases. So we can say it will be a resource utilization. Like we have a CPU, so we can connect this concept of parallel execution with multitasking. Like in computer also, you can open more than one tab at a time. So it will be multitasking or multi-programming. So CPU will be more utilized. There will be less idle time for CPU, and it will also consume less time to complete a work. And the second benefit is reduced waiting time. So reduce average response time for transaction. Short transaction need not wait behind long ones. Okay. It need to say that suppose one person is doing more than one transaction. If you are in ATM line, one person is first withdrawing 500 rupees. After that, it will withdraw 1000 rupees. After that, it will withdraw again 1000, and then it will withdraw suppose 2000. In meanwhile, they are checking their balance and they need to change the password. So if this is a long transaction, and after that the next person to the queue will just have to withdraw 2000 rupees from the ATM. So he have a short transaction, but he has to wait for the first one if he is in the line. So if we are doing in the serial way, so each and everyone need to wait for the first one to complete. So if the first one is taking too much time, it will affect all the later on persons. So it will reduce your average response time for transaction. Short transaction need not wait behind longer ones. Average response time means the average time for a transaction to be completed after it has been submitted. Okay. What is the difference between this waiting time and response time? Okay, if you are going in some restaurant and you are just waiting for the waiter to come for your order, it is called waiting time. If you are going in Imperial and after 10 minutes if one waiter is come to your table for writing the order, so 10 minutes is called waiting time. But once you are sorry, it is called your response time, like you, it will be responded. And once you are writed your order, and it will be cooked inside the kitchen, and after 30 minutes you will get your order, it is called your total waiting time. 10 minutes for waiter to come and 30 minutes for preparing your food. So total you have waited 40 minutes. Response time means once you are going inside the restaurant and waited for waiter to respond you, it is called your response time. And the entire time, once you are entering into the restaurant till you are getting your food as per your requirement, it is called your waiting time. So it will reduce the waiting time, and we can also say it will reduce average response time. Okay. So if we are doing concurrent execution, we have some concurrency control schemes, because if all the transactions are going parallel, then we have some scheme to make sure that database will not be affected if any of the transaction is not fully completed. So mechanisms to achieve isolation, like each and every transaction should be done in isolation. It will not affect the other transaction which are running parallelly. That means to control the interaction among the concurrent transactions in order to prevent them from destroying the consistency of the database. Okay, we have a separate chapter for this concurrency control schemes. We'll see later. Okay, now we are going for schedule. Okay, so what is a schedule? First, we'll see some description and then we'll take one real time example. Schedule is the chronological order. Chronological means sequential order in which instructions are executed in the system. Schedule for a set of transaction must consist of all the instruction of those transaction, and must preserve the order in which the instruction appears in each individual transaction. Okay, this is the larger sentence. We need to focus. A schedule for a set of transaction, that means at a time 2 or 3 transactions are going on. So T1, T2 and T3, we can call it as a set of transactions, must consist of all the instruction of this transaction. Like if in T1 we have first 2 statement as read A and read B, in T2 we have read A and write B. So the sequence which are following in particular transaction needs to be followed. It will not change the sequence of one particular transaction. Okay, I'm writing so you will get it better. Suppose I have T1, and in T1 I have first read operator, read A, and the next one is read B. In T2 I have read A and write B. Okay, so the sequence for each of this needs not to be changed. Like we are not doing this first and doing this later. It is called chronological order or sequential order. We are not going to change the order of the instruction for a individual transaction. This is an individual transaction T1. This is a T2. So we are not going to change the sequence. Okay. And the next one, a schedule is required in a database because when some transactions executed in parallel, they may affect the result of the transaction. So schedule means when which transaction is going on and which one will be affected the database value. So it will be having one schedule. One schedule can have multiple transactions which are occurring on some same kind of time frame. So schedule is required because a database is dealing with multiple transactions, and any one of them will be affected the database, then later on all the values updated in the database will not be correct. And for ensuring that all of them should be proper, we need a schedule. Schedule is a sequence of instructions that specify the chronological order in which instruction of concurrent transactions are executed. So schedule means it will specify, like if we have a concurrent different kind of transaction, T1, T2, T3. So in particular transaction T1, if we have 10 instruction, then its order should not be modified. Like fourth instruction is read A, so it should be read A. It should not be modified with any other instructions. It is called schedule. So a schedule for a set of transaction must consist of all instruction of those transaction. So if we have 15 instruction in transaction T1, so in schedule also we have 15 instruction for T1. It should not be modified. And it must preserves the order. Like fourth instruction is write B and fifth one is read A. So order should not be changed for any individual transaction. Transaction that successfully complete its execution will have a commit instruction as the last statement to save that transaction. So by default, whenever transaction is going to complete, it has commit instruction to save those transactions updates into the database. And a transaction that fails to successfully complete its execution will have an abort instruction as the last statement. Okay, this is a very simple. If you are fully completed your transaction, then you need to save it with the help of commit. And if you are not going to complete it, then there should be a programming like you need to roll back all that operations. I just want to say these two things. Okay. Okay, so we are discussing regarding different schedules. Schedule 1 is let T1 transfer $50 from account A to B, and T2 transaction transfers 10% of the balance from account A to account B. Okay, if you have observed here, we have a T1 transaction. What does it do? It will transfer $50 from account A to account B. So first it will read the balance of account A, then it will be deducted 50 from account A, then it will write the updated value or balance for account A. Next, what does it need to do? $50 is now deducted from A, so it should be added into B. So it will read B and added this 50 into B's account and update its value in the database. So it will write B. T2, transaction T2, what will be doing? It will transfer 10% of the balance from account A to account B. So first it will read account A's balance, then it will have 10% of that particular balance. So the balance multiply by 0.1, it is 10%, and it will store this value into temporary variable and then deduct this 10% from the actual balance of A. Then it will update the balance of A, it will be deducted, and it will read the balance of B and add this 10% of account A's balance into B's account and update this B's balance. Okay. Till now, do anyone have any query? What is this T1 and T2? Do anyone have any query till this? Okay. Do I need to repeat this, what this T1 and T2 does? Any one of you? Shyam, Rutvi, Deep, any one of you? Should I need to repeat this? Okay, Shyam said cleared. Deep and Rutvi? Rutvi, okay. So we can say this is a serial schedule. Why it is a serial schedule? Because once transaction T1 is completed, after that T2 will be starting. We are thinking that this is the time frame. Like at this time only T1 is executed and after that T2 started for execution. So we can say that it is a serial schedule. Schedule can have more than one transaction. This is a schedule which can have more than one transaction, and each and every transaction can consist of different operations, and it should be done in the similar order. We can say it as chronological order. Okay. So we have two different tasks. Now we'll try it for some real time balance. So we'll get to know what these instructions will be doing. Okay, if you have observed, we have account A's balance as 100 rupees and B's balance as 200 rupees. Before execution, it will be 300, like 100 plus 200 is 300. After this transaction executed, like T1 and T2, then what will be the total of A plus B? Okay, we are doing it here. So first one is read A. What does it do? It will read the value of A. If you have observed, it is 100. Okay. Then we have second instruction, A equals to A minus 50. So what does it mean? A's value is 100. We are deducting 50 rupees from that. So updated A's value is now 50 rupees. Okay. Then we are writing this updated A's value to the database. So we are writing that A is having 50 rupees into the database. So now here in database we have 50 rupees for A. Okay. We are moving further. It will transaction 1 will read the value of B. What does this B means? B is 200. It will be read from the database. Here we have 200 rupees. Now B is updated with 50 rupees. B is having 50 rupees added into the account. So the previous B's value is 200. We are adding 50 rupees and now updated B's balance is 250 rupees. Till this instruction, we have calculated B equals to 250, but it will not be affected into the database because still we are not executing the command write B. Okay. So once we are executing this command write B, so it will write the updated value of B into the database. So here we have 250 rupees. Okay. So once we are done with this, we are starting with T2. Okay. So I am just deleting this so I can write for T2. We have updated values here. Okay. So T2 will read A. So now in database, what is the value of A? It is 50. So T2 will read A and value for A is 50. Okay. The next statement, temp equals to A multiply 0.1. Temp is one variable which will store 10% of balance A. We have a equals to 50. We are multiplying it with zero point 0.1. So it will be 5. Okay. Now this temp will have 5 as a value. The next statement is A will be updated. From A's account, we are deducting 10% of their balance. So A means 50 and 10% means 5. So A's updated value will be 45. Okay. And then we are going to write this value into the database. So we are writing 45 into the database. Now this 50 will be changed to 45. Okay. Then we are reading this B. So in database, B is now 250 rupees updated value. So 250. B is updated with B plus temp. That means those 10% which we have deducted from A's account is to be transferred into B's account. So we are adding this temporary value to B. Okay, B's current balance is 250. We are adding this 10%, that means 5 rupees. So now B is having 255 rupees. Okay, and then we are going to write this value into the database. That means we are writing 255 rupees. 255. Okay. So now we are done with this transaction T1 as well as T2. So after the transaction execution, what is the total of A plus B? A means 45 and B means 255. What will be the total? What is the total of these two? 300. Perfect. Okay. So we can say that when we are parallelly executed the transaction, ideally it is not parallel because we can say it is a serial. Once T1 is completed, after that we have started with T2. So one by one, once transaction is done, then the database is consistent. Consistence means before execution total is this, and after execution also the total will be same. So we can say that it is consistent in nature. Okay. Do anyone have any query in this schedule number 1? Okay. So this schedule 1 is a serial schedule in which T1 is followed by T2. That means T1 will be executed first and after that T2 is be following the T1. So it is called a serial schedule. Okay. The next one, we have a different schedule. Here T2 is following T1. Okay. So you need to remember only this two transaction because all the time we are dealing with this two transaction. Transaction T1 is transferring $50 from account A to account B, and transaction T2 is transferring 10% of account A to account B. Okay. Here also, if you have observed, it will look like a serial schedule because first T2 will be completed and after it will be done, T1 is started. Okay. So for that, can anyone try? Okay. Try it and reply what will be the value of A plus B. I'm waiting for your reply. First, what you need to do is, this is the time frame. So first we are here. So we need to read A instruction from T2. Then we need to do this temp A multiply by 0.1. So first we are doing all the instructions from T2 and after that we are doing it with T1. Remember one thing, whenever you are having the write A, So you are updating the data item A into the database. And when you are having read A, so you are just reading the value available from the database. Okay. Do it and reply it once you are complete. What will be the value? Okay, Nancy said 300, Akanksha 300, Deep 300. Kunal is getting 50 and 260. Kunal, have you done with all this T2 and after that T1 transaction? Okay, many of you have got the correct answer. Kunal, look at it here. We are doing it speedy. First, we are dealing with this T2. Okay, so A will be 100 and we are having 10. So 100 multiplied by zero point 0.1, it will be 10. A is deducting the value 100 minus 10. So the updated value will be 90 and it will be returned here. So we are changing this 100 with this 90 because we have write A. So it will update the data item A's value. Then we are reading B. B will be 200. We are adding 200 plus this temp 10 value and B will be 210. So the updated value for this is 210. Okay. Now we are starting with this T1. It will read A's value. Now database is having A value as 90. Then it will deducting 90 minus 50. So value will be 40 and we are writing this 40 value to the database. So it is 40. Now it will read B's value. So in database it will be 210. We are adding 50 rupees to this 210, so it will be 260 rupees. So here we have 260. Okay, and it will write it into the database. So we have A equals to 40 and B equals to 260. If we are making total of this two, 40 plus 260, it will be 300. Yes, we wrote correct. New A is 40 and B is 260. So if we have observed before execution, sum of this two account will be 300 and after transaction execution, it will be 300. So that our database is consistent. Okay. The third schedule is let T1 and T2 be the transaction defined previously. The following schedule is now not a serial schedule, but it is equivalent to schedule 1. Okay. What does this schedule means? This is the third schedule. We are performing the same thing, but after some interval into the transaction. Like we are doing this three statement first. After that, as per the time sequence, we are performing this four operations from T2. Then we are performing this three operation again. And after that, we are performing from T2. We need to follow this sequence. Okay. Again, try for this and reply. Is it having the same as before execution? That means your database is consistent or not. One more thing, whenever we are talking about concurrent execution, minimum we require two transactions to make it parallel. Okay. And whenever you are writing this in exam, you are not writing it like R of A or W of B. We need to write the entire word, read and write, because these two are operations. Remember this. Okay. Rahul, we need to give the entire A plus B after the execution of the entire schedule. Okay, Deep say 300, Vaibhav 300, Kunal 300, good. Jai Kishan 45 and 255, 300, good. Okay, no problem. Rahul. Parth 300, very good. Yes, Nancy, perfect. Okay, I am doing it quickly. So those who are not able to get how to calculate, can we do with me? A equals to 100. Now A will be deducted 50 rupees. So A will be 50 and we are writing this A's value here. So it will be 50. Then I am reading A from the database. So now in database A equals to 50. In temp, I am calculating the 10% of A, it will be 5. And I am deducting this 5 values from this 50, so it will be 45. Okay, and I'm writing this 45 into the database. Okay, now in transaction P1, I'm here. Okay, so it will be reading B's value, which is 200. It is adding 50 rupees to B, so it will be 250, and I'm writing this into the database, so here it will be written 250. Okay, now in T2 it will be reading B's value, so B will be now 250. B will be added with temp value, which is 5, so it will be 255, and this 255 will be returned here. Okay, so I'm writing here 255. Okay, so after this execution is completed, we have A's value as 45, B's value as 255, and total of A plus B will be 300. If you have observed what we have done in this schedule number 3, in first this time span, we have completed all the transaction occurring on data item A, and after that we have completed on data item B. So it is not look like a perfect serial because we are not done with the entire transaction T1 and then started with transaction T2. Meanwhile, once we are doing T1 transaction, we are also doing this T2 transaction, but it will not affect it in the database because we are dealing with two different data items. Okay, so once we are done with this A, then we are started with B and completed B. So schedule 3, in schedule 1, 2 and 3, the sum A plus B is preserved. So it will be in consistent state. Okay. Till now, do anyone have any question? Today we have covered an important topic, and if you are clear with this concept of how to calculate the schedule, then we are going for some more complicated topics, which is totally dependent on today's lecture. Okay. Do anyone have any query? Then let me know. Okay, very good. because I think today's lecture is very much important. So if you are getting everything properly in this lecture, it will be helpful in the next lecture. Okay, good. So I'm just concluding today's session. Okay, what we have done in this, what is the link for you sent us? I'm not getting part. This video lectures link will be updated in your student portal. If you want to refer it, it will be uploaded into the for registration. Okay. Design engineering, if you are talking for design engineering, it will be de.gtu.ac.in. I have given in the chat box. You can refer. Okay, so I want to conclude this session. What we have covered in today's session, why we require concurrent execution. Because if you are doing serial execution, it will not do any kind of difficulty. But we require concurrent execution because of these two reasons. It will reduce the waiting time and it will improve throughput as well as resource utilization. Overall, we can say it will improve the efficiency. So that we require concurrent execution. Whenever we are calling, it is a concurrent execution. Minimum two transactions should be there. Okay. So if two transaction or set of transaction is occurring simultaneously, we can say that it will be a schedule. Okay. So we have covered three schedules and we have identified the database is consistent or not. Okay. So I'm first taking your attendance and then Pearl, I'm answering your query for design engineering. Okay. Ria, Himangi, Shyam, Kirtan, Krupal, Krupal, Kunal,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Avadh, Nancy, Vaibhav, Kushal, Akanksha, Puram, Vani, Raksha. Okay, Krupal is there. Anvi, Harshit, Mahir, Parth, Urvashi, Kumar Pal, Rahul, Rahul, Bhavik, Pooja, Pal, Prithvi, Priti, Akshay, Akash. Okay, Akash, you are new student, so if you are facing any query, then we will discuss later. You can contact me if you have any query till this. Ahmed, Sachin, Chinmay, Haria, Haria, Milan, Hitesh, Milan, are you there? Okay. Ina, Iraq, Nancy, Kamalraj, Kamalraj, Astha, Shelby, Kishan, Hiren, Naresh, Munaf, Yatish, Yatish, Mohib Hussain, Krish, Nishi, Kushal, Umang, Parth, Karthik, Deep, Urvisha, Mihir, Mirali, Sharad, Rahul, Shreya, Krishna, Milan, Sunil, Harsh, Yash, Diksha, Zenith, Varun, Stuti. Okay, absentees for today's lecture is Mishi, Krish, Mohib Hussain, Yatish, Amal Raj, Rahul Bhavik, and Dakshabin. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much. We are done with today's session.